Ever try to picture what it's like to, well, kind of face down a hurricane? Not literally, of course.
Yeah.
But what if you had algorithms and this, like, intense focus on risk in your arsenal? That's kind of the unexpected world of a property insurance underwriter, and we're diving deep into it today. We've got all these great insights from RoleCatcher.com, so listeners, get ready to unlock the secrets of this career path.
It's funny you say that because it really is this intriguing mix of, number crunching meets detective work. What RoleCatcher reveals is you're not just dealing with data, you're practically predicting the unpredictable.
Okay, that's a great way to put it. And it sounds like it takes a very particular kind of person, right? Someone who can handle those spreadsheets, but also, what, build trust with people who are depending on them.
Absolutely. Because think about it, when someone's looking to insure their business, their home, these are things that matter deeply to them. So an underwriter can't just be a robot with a calculator. So true. Rollcatcher seems to emphasize that human element a lot, going way beyond just the technical skills. But before we get too deep into that, let's rewind for a sec. What do property insurance underwriters actually do? Because it feels like it's more than just saying yes or no to a policy.
Oh, way more. It's about assessing risk, for sure, but it's also about understanding the stories behind those risks.
Hmm.
Rollcatcher had this fantastic example, right? Let's say a bakery owner wants to insure their, like, dream shop.
Okay, I'm already invested. I love bakeries. What happens next?
So the underwriter doesn't just look at, how old the building is or even how many ovens they have. They're digging into local flood maps. They're checking crime stats for the neighborhood.
Wow, so they're really piecing together this whole picture, like a puzzle, to figure out how vulnerable a property is.
You got it. They're connecting those dots between data and real-world risks, which I gotta say takes some serious skill.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, there's the whole human side of things. Right, because you've got clients who might not fully grasp all the ins and outs of insurance, and you've got to explain it in a way that makes sense, right?
And sometimes you have to navigate those tougher conversations too, like explaining why a certain coverage might be more expensive based on the risks involved. Rollcatcher really stresses that communication and, even a bit of persuasion are essential. You're not just presenting a policy, you're building understanding.
It's like you're walking this tightrope between being analytical and being empathetic, which is a tough balance.
Okay.
And speaking of balancing, Rollcatcher also talks about how technology is changing the game for underwriters. It's not just those old school adding machines anymore, is it?
Definitely not. We're talking fancy software, predictive modeling, even AI being used to sniff out fraud. It's actually kind of mind-blowing how much tech has revolutionized how underwriters do their jobs.
I like they're time travelers or something, drawing on years of knowledge and experience, but also like leaping into the future of risk assessment.
Yeah, and it sounds like it takes a pretty diverse skill set, right? Like to actually thrive in that kind of environment. So, where does someone even begin? What does Rollcatcher say about the whole education side of things?
Right, because I'm kind of picturing like, mountains of textbooks on statistics and like hardcore risk analysis. Is that even close?
Well, okay, a good foundation in math never hurts, especially when you're dealing with what's called the loss ratio.
Loss ratio. Okay, you're going to break that one down for me.
Basically, it's how much an insurance company pays out in claims compared to how much they're taking in from premiums.
Got it. So like balancing the books, but for potential disasters.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Rollcatcher actually found that while math is super important, a bachelor's degree is often the real starting point, and not always in the fields you might expect.
Okay, now you have to spill the tea. What kind of unexpected degrees are we talking about here?
Think broader than just, straight up finance. Rollcatcher mentions business administration, economics, even psychology as being super valuable.
Psychology. Really? Okay, now I'm even more intrigued. How does that even tie in?
Well, think about it. You're analyzing data, for sure, but you're also kind of analyzing human behavior in a way. Understanding why people make the decisions they do, how they perceive risk.
That makes sense. Like, are they more likely to, like, file a claim if they've had a bad experience in the past or if they're feeling, like, extra cautious?
Exactly. You're reading people as much as you're reading spreadsheets. And then, of course, being able to communicate all of that clearly is essential.
Communication is key in, well, pretty much any field, right? But especially
Yeah.
it sounds like when you're dealing with something as important as insurance. Okay, so we've got the degree, we're brushing up on our psychology skills, anything else. What about like specialized certifications? Because I know RoleCatcher mentioned something called the CPCU, right?
Ah, yes, the CPCU. That's like the, I don't know, the black belt of underwriting.
Okay, I like that analogy. So what is it exactly?
It stands for Chartered Property Casualty Underwriter, and it's basically the gold standard in the industry. Shows you've got this deep, deep understanding of all things insurance, like risk management, legal stuff, the whole shebang.
Sounds intense, but I'm guessing it's worth it career-wise.
Totally. RoleCatcher actually has a ton of resources for aspiring CPCUs, so it's definitely something to check out if you're serious about, climbing that career ladder.
It's like leveling up, but instead of magic points, you get expertise.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we're on the subject of RoleCatcher, let's talk about how it fits into this whole journey.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just an info hub, right?
Oh, for sure. Think of it as like your career sidekick.
A sidekick, I like it. Tell me more.
Okay, so let's say you're ready to polish up that resume and start applying for jobs. RoleCatcher has this awesome CV resume builder that helps you really showcase those skills we've been talking about.
So it's not just about listing where you worked or went to school. It's about highlighting the stuff that makes you stand out as a potential underwriting rock star.
Exactly. And then the interview prep section. Pure gold, I'm telling you. They've got insights into the most common interview questions, tips for how to really sell your experience, even AI-powered mock interviews.
Wait, they have AI mock interviews? That's next level.
Right, like having a personal coach, but without the awkward small talk. It's actually pretty cool.
Super cool. Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. Someone's got their education in order. They've aced the mock interviews. They're feeling good. What does that first step on the career ladder actually look like?
RoleCatcher lays it out pretty clearly, starting with, entry-level positions where you're basically learning the ropes.
So like an apprenticeship almost.
Exactly. And a lot of times you're coming in, fresh out of college, eager to learn, and you're given real-world experience, but with a safety net.
I feel like I need a safety net just thinking about all the complexities we've already talked about. So what kind of stuff might an entry-level underwriter actually be doing day to day?
It can vary, but think reviewing basic policies, gathering info from clients, maybe assisting those senior underwriters with risk assessments. It's really about absorbing as much as you can.
Soaking it all up like a sponge. But eventually you got to graduate from sponge to, I don't know, to expert chef, right? When does that happen?
That's where the junior underwriter role comes in.
Ah, the next level. What does that look like?
So you're starting to handle smaller cases independently. You're really applying what you've learned to actually make those underwriting decisions.
So less prepping the ingredients, more like you're at the stove now, but maybe not cooking the whole banquet just yet.
Perfect analogy. You're getting your hands dirty, experimenting a bit, developing your own style.
Okay, so you've mastered the basics. You're calling some of the shots. What does the view look like from the top of this career mountain?
All right, so picture this. You walk in, you're the senior property insurance underwriter.
Okay, I like where this is going. Lay it on me. What's that like?
You've got your own team, right? You're mentoring them, shaping the whole strategy for your department.
Wow, so it's a real leadership role at that point.
Absolutely. And those really complex, high-stakes cases, those land on your desk. You're the expert people turn to.
That's a serious power move. But it's not just about, calling the shots, right? What does RoleCatcher say really makes a senior underwriter stand out?
It's more like they're visionaries, They're not just reacting to the market. They're kind of anticipating how things are going to change.
So thinking 10 steps ahead, that's impressive.
Totally. And RoleCatcher found that's really what sets them apart, being able to analyze those emerging risks, even before they're really on everyone's radar.
Because the world of risk is definitely changing, right? I mean, we've talked about beachfront properties, we talked about bakeries, but what about, self-driving cars, drones delivering packages? That's a whole other ballgame.
Right. And RoleCatcher actually dedicates a whole section to these emerging markets, because the truth is, the role of an underwriter, it's evolving so fast.
It's like you're not just crunching numbers anymore. You're practically predicting the future.
In a way, yeah. And you have to be comfortable with that, with diving into uncharted territory, because not everything's going to be in the textbooks.
It's a little bit like being an explorer, which honestly sounds kind of exciting.
Right. And I think that's what makes this whole field so cool. It's not static. It's dynamic. It's constantly pushing the boundaries.
We've gone from job descriptions to, existential ponderings about the future of risk, and I'm not mad about it. This deep dive has definitely given us a lot to think about.
It has. But I think if there's one big takeaway, it's that this isn't just a career, it's a constantly evolving journey.
It's about using your head, your gut, and a whole lot of data to help people protect the things that matter most to them. And listeners, if you're feeling even the slightest bit curious about this world, RoleCatcher.com is the place to be. Seriously, they have so much good stuff there, tools, resources, you name it. Who knows, you might just discover your next career adventure.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for diving deep with us.